Canada. A nation long celebrated as one of the world's most livable countries. But today, it's facing an unprecedented crisis. In Toronto, a basic two-bedroom apartment that cost $2,000 just 2 years ago now demands $3,800, a staggering 26% annual increase. In Vancouver and Toronto, even the top 11% of earners can't qualify for a mortgage. How did one of the world's most stable nations become unaffordable for its own people? This is how Canada became a victim of its own success. Picture Canada in the 1800s, when everything was different. Most Canadians lived in a small sliver of land along one mighty river, the St. Lawrence, and around the Great Lakes. If you flew over Canada back then, you'd see tiny clusters of settlements hugging the water's edge, while the rest of this enormous country remained virtually untouched, like a blank canvas waiting for its story to be painted. The Canadian government looked at all this empty land and saw something amazing, the possibility. They had this incredible dream, to build a nation that stretched from ocean to ocean. But they faced a big problem. How do you fill a country that's bigger than most people can imagine? Their answer was bold and simple: invite the world to come and build a new life. They launched what we might call today the world's first major marketing campaign. Build your nest in Western Canada, the posters proclaimed. They painted pictures of a promised land, a new El Dorado where anyone willing to work hard could succeed. These weren't just empty promises, they were offering real land and real opportunities, especially to farmers who could turn wild prairies into fields of wheat. Soon, ships began arriving at Canadian ports, packed with families clutching these dreams in their hands. Immigration officers carefully chose who could enter, looking for people who could help build this new nation. Imagine standing on those docks, everything you own in a single trunk, ready to start a new life in a land you've only seen in pictures. What happened next was remarkable. People began moving westward, following the railroads like ants, following trails through a garden. Where there was nothing but prairie, towns sprang up. Trading posts grew into villages, villages into towns, and towns into cities. Each new settlement was like a seed that took root and grew. By 1920, something incredible had happened. Canada's population had tripled from 3 million to 9 million people. These weren't just numbers, they were families building homes, opening shops, starting farms, and creating communities. New cities were blooming all along Canada's southern border, connected by railways and roads, like beads on a string. These newcomers didn't just bring their dreams. They brought their cultures, their foods, their music, and their traditions. They worked hard, facing brutal winters and tough conditions, but they persevered. In their workshops and on their farms, in their schools and in their homes, they were building something bigger than themselves. They were building modern Canada. This massive change is the foundation of everything Canada would become. Those early decisions about welcoming newcomers, about where they would live and how they would build their lives, created patterns we still see today. It's like reading the first chapter of a book to understand why the ending turned out the way it did. When we look at Canada's challenges today, we're really looking at the echo of choices made over 150 years ago when a young nation decided to dream big and invite the world to help make those dreams real. This isn't just history. It's the story of how Canada became what it is, a country built by people who came looking for a better life, bringing their hopes, their cultures, and their determination to succeed. Understanding this helps us make sense of Canada's current challenges and opportunities as the country continues to grow and change, just as it has since those early days along the St. Lawrence River. Imagine having the second biggest house in the world, but only being able to live in a tiny corner of it. That's Canada. While the country looks massive on a map, most Canadians are squeezed into a narrow strip of land along the US border, about the width of a 2-hour drive. It's like having a huge backyard, but only being able to use the patio. Here's the thing about Canada that most people don't realize. While it's enormous, only about 7% of its land can be farmed. The rest? It's either too cold, too rocky, or too remote to grow food or build cities. Imagine trying to build a house on an ice rink or a cliff. That's what much of Canada's landscape is like. This creates a fascinating pattern. 90% of all Canadians live within 160 kilometers of the United States border. Picture everyone at a party crowding around the snack table. That's how Canadians cluster along this southern strip. It's not just because they love being close to Americans. It's because this is where the climate is gentlest and the land is most welcoming. This geographic reality causes some real headaches. When you've got millions of people all trying to live in the same narrow band of land, things get complicated. Building new homes isn't just about having enough space, it's about dealing with freezing winters that make construction challenging and expensive. Every new building needs extra insulation, stronger foundations, and special materials to handle extreme temperature swings. Then there's the infrastructure challenge. When cities grow up instead of out, they need bigger water pipes, stronger power grids, and wider roads. But there's only so much room to expand these systems in already packed cities. It's like trying to add new plumbing to a fully built house. Possible, but tricky and expensive. As one city planner puts it, we're trying to fit a rapidly growing population into a very limited livable space. Think of it as trying to add more guests to a full hotel. At some point, you run out of comfortable rooms. So, while Canada may look endless on a map, the reality is much different. Most Canadians are living in a relatively small slice of their enormous country, creating a unique challenge. How do you keep making room for more people when you're already squeezed into the most livable parts of the second largest country on Earth? Think of Canada as a country that wrote the rulebook on modern immigration. Back when other nations were still figuring things out, Canada created something revolutionary, a points system for choosing new residents. It's like creating a fair game where everyone knows the rules. You get points for your education, your job skills, your language abilities, and other qualities that could help you succeed in Canada. Instead of just opening the doors to anyone, Canada became selective, but in a smart way. They looked for doctors, engineers, teachers, and other skilled workers who could help build the country. Imagine hosting a dinner party where you specifically invite people who can contribute something special to the evening. That's how Canada approached immigration, welcoming people who brought valuable skills while also making sure their families could join them later. But here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. In 2022, Canada had about 1.4 million temporary residents. Think international students, temporary workers, and others who aren't permanent citizens yet. Just 2 years later, that number doubled to 2.8 million. That's like suddenly having twice as many guests show up to your party than you planned for. And it doesn't stop there. Canada's planning to welcome another 500 zero-permanent residents in 2025. To put that in perspective, that's like adding a new city the size of Montreal every few years. It's a massive change happening at lightning speed. This rapid growth has caused a dramatic shift in how Canadians feel about immigration. Picture this. In 2018, if you asked 10 Canadians about immigration, about 7 would say it was good for the country. They were proud of their multicultural society and welcomed newcomers with open arms. But by 2024, the mood had changed significantly. Now, nearly 6 out of 10 Canadians worry there's too much immigration. This isn't just about numbers on a page. It's about real people and real changes in daily life. Longtime residents who once enthusiastically supported immigration are now concerned about overcrowded schools, packed hospitals, and soaring housing costs. Meanwhile, newcomers who arrive with high hopes are struggling to find affordable places to live and build the life they dreamed of. It's a complex situation without easy answers. Canada is trying to balance its tradition of welcoming newcomers with the practical challenges of such rapid growth. The question isn't whether immigration is good or bad, but how to manage it in a way that works for everyone, both the newcomers and the people already calling Canada home. Let's break down what's really happening in Canada in a way that hits home. Imagine you're watching a race. Canada's population is sprinting ahead faster than any other developed country, but the number of new homes being built is only jogging. For every 2 new people who need a place to live, only 1 new home is being built. It's like playing musical chairs with an ever-growing number of players, but not adding enough chairs. Now, picture your monthly paycheck. While it might grow a little each year, rents are growing 3 times faster. If your pay went up by 100, your rent probably jumped by 300. This means every month, more of your money is going to just keeping a roof over your head, leaving less for everything else. On paper, Canada's economy looks like it's growing. More people means more spending, more businesses, more everything. But here's the catch. When you divide all that growth by the growing number of people, each person's slice of the pie is actually getting smaller. It's like having a birthday cake that looks bigger but has to feed twice as many guests. The reality of this plays out in surprising and sometimes shocking ways. Take what happened in Brampton, a city near Toronto. They discovered 25 students sharing a single basement. Think about that for a moment. 25 people living in a space meant for maybe 1 or 2. The scary part? This isn't some rare extreme case. It's becoming normal in many Canadian cities. These aren't just numbers on a chart, they're real people making tough choices. Students choosing between food and rent, young professionals with good jobs still living with their parents, families spending over half their income just on housing. It's like everyone's running on a treadmill that keeps getting faster, trying desperately to keep up. What makes this situation so tricky is that it affects everyone, but in different ways. For property owners, their homes are worth more than ever. But for renters or people trying to buy their first home, it feels like the finish line keeps moving further away. The economy might look good from a distance, but zoom in closer and you'll see many Canadians are finding it harder just to maintain the basics of a comfortable life. This isn't just a housing crisis, it's a fundamental shift in how affordable it is to live in Canada. When 25 students sharing a basement becomes normal, it's a clear sign that something in the system needs to change. Picture Canada facing what feels like a perfect storm of challenges all hitting at once. It's like watching several pressure cookers about to blow their lids simultaneously. Let's break this down in a way that hits home for everyone. First, Canada needs to build 3.5 million new homes by 2030. Think about that. It's like needing to build 3 cities the size of Vancouver in just 6 years. Imagine trying to build a house when construction materials are expensive, workers are hard to find, and the paperwork takes forever. Now multiply that challenge by 3.5 million. Then there's the healthcare system, struggling like never before. If you live in Canada today, you probably know someone who's been stuck waiting months just to see a specialist. Canadians are now waiting longer for medical care than people in any other developed country. It's like everyone trying to get through one door while more people keep joining the line. Here's another piece of the puzzle. Canada's infrastructure, the roads, bridges, transit systems, and power grids that keep everything running needs $250 billion worth of repairs and upgrades. That's not just a big number. It's like discovering your house needs major repairs to everything at once. The roof, the foundation, the plumbing, and the electrical system, but multiplied across an entire country. But perhaps the most telling sign of trouble is this. 84 out of every 100 Canadians are having trouble just keeping up with basic living costs. We're not talking about luxury items here, we're talking about groceries, rent, utilities, the basics of life. Imagine 8 out of 10 of your neighbors silently struggling to make ends meet. As one economist puts it, looking genuinely concerned, we're seeing the fastest erosion of living standards in a generation. In simple terms, what your parents could afford on an average salary, a decent home, regular meals out, annual vacations, is becoming a luxury that many Canadians today can only dream about. This isn't just about numbers or statistics, it's about real-life changes happening in neighborhoods across Canada. It's about the young professional living in their parents' basement because rent is too high. It's about the family choosing between paying for hockey equipment or buying healthy groceries. It's about the senior wondering if their retirement savings will last as prices keep climbing. What makes this situation so challenging is how all these problems feed into each other. When housing is scarce, rents go up. When rents go up, people have less money for everything else. When people have less money to spend, businesses struggle. When businesses struggle, jobs become less secure. It's like a complicated dance where if one person stumbles, everyone feels the impact. This is Canada's perfect storm. Not a weather event, but a combination of challenges that's changing how people live, work, and think about their future in one of the world's most prosperous nations. The question isn't just about fixing each problem individually anymore, it's about finding ways to weather this storm together while building a stronger foundation for the future. So what's Canada doing to fix these problems? Picture Canada as a house that needs major renovations. The good news? The architects, builders, and planners are already drawing up blueprints for change. They're not just thinking about quick fixes, they're imagining a complete transformation of how Canadians live, work, and build communities. First up, there's a massive push to create more homes, but not just any homes. Think smart, efficient buildings that can house more people while still feeling spacious and comfortable. It's like playing Tetris with buildings, finding clever ways to fit more living spaces into existing cities without making them feel cramped. Canada's also taking a fresh look at its welcome mat. Instead of just leaving the door wide open, they're thinking more carefully about how many guests they can comfortably host at once. It's like planning a big party. You need to make sure you have enough chairs, food, and space for everyone to feel comfortable and welcome. Then there's the big picture stuff. Billions of dollars being planned for new roads, better public transit, stronger power grids, and updated water systems. Imagine giving your whole city an upgrade, like updating an old smartphone to the latest model. It takes time and money, but it makes everything work better. Cities themselves are getting a rethink. Instead of spreading out endlessly into the suburbs, the future might look more like vibrant, walkable neighborhoods where you can live, work, and play without spending hours in traffic. Picture communities where your grocery store, workplace, and favorite coffee shop are just a short walk away. But here's where it gets tricky, like trying to solve a puzzle with moving pieces. As Canada builds and grows, they need to keep the air clean, the water pure, and the natural beauty that makes Canada special intact. It's about finding the sweet spot between growth and keeping the environment healthy. Perhaps the biggest challenge is keeping communities feeling like communities. When neighborhoods change quickly, it can feel like the social fabric is stretching thin. The goal is to help both newcomers and longtime residents feel like they belong and can thrive together. Looking ahead, Canada faces some big if questions. If they can build homes fast enough to match the growing population, if they can make cities that work better for everyone, if they can keep the environment healthy while growing rapidly, if they can keep communities strong through all these changes. Think of it like watching a garden grow. You plant the seeds today for the flowers you want to see tomorrow. Canada's future will be shaped by the choices being made right now. The challenge isn't just fixing what's broken, it's building something better for the next generation. It's a tall order, but then again, Canada was built on big dreams and the determination to make them real. The path forward isn't a straight line. It's more like navigating through fog while building the road as you go. But the destination is clear. A Canada that works better for everyone, where growing bigger doesn't mean leaving anyone behind. As the sun sets over Canada's skyline, we're looking at a country that's become a victim of its own success story. Imagine throwing a party that became so popular your house can barely contain all the guests. That's Canada right now. The country has become so good at attracting talented people from around the world that it's struggling to keep up with its own growth. Look around any Canadian city today and you'll see the results of this success. Brilliant minds from every corner of the globe have made Canada their home, bringing their dreams, skills, and determination. They've helped build companies, create jobs, and enrich communities. But with this incredible growth comes growing pains that touch everyone's daily life. The answer isn't as simple as putting up a "sorry we're full" sign. That would be like trying to solve a traffic jam by closing the road. Instead, Canada needs to build bigger, better, and faster. More homes, more schools, more hospitals, more of everything that makes a country work for its people. Think of Canada like a teenager going through a growth spurt. Clothes that fit perfectly last year are suddenly too small, shoes need constant replacing, and everything feels a bit uncomfortable. But just like that teenager, Canada can't stop growing. The challenge is keeping up with that growth while making sure nobody gets left behind. As we pull back from the cities to Canada's stunning natural landscapes, the big question becomes clear. It's not about whether Canada can solve these problems. This is a country built on solving big challenges. The real question is how quickly Canada can adapt to its new size and shape, how fast it can build new rooms in its house while keeping the foundation strong. The future of Canada isn't just about building more buildings or wider roads. It's about building a country that stays true to its welcoming spirit, while making sure everyone who calls it home can actually afford to live here. The challenge ahead isn't just a test of construction speed, it's a test of whether Canada can grow bigger while staying recognizably Canadian, open, inclusive, and a place where dreams can still come true, just with better planning this time around. If this analysis helped you understand Canada's current situation, hit subscribe for more deep dives into global geography and economics. Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below.